Before we go ahead and get started, Andy, if I could just ask you to maybe check and see if we've got a quorum here. If we don't, then we'll wait a few more minutes for a few more to show up.
Eric, John Graham, Cammie. That's all I can see. That's 6 right there.
I see Don Wilson.
We have 7.
Okay, Don Wilson,
yeah.
that makes 7.
Yeah, with Mayor Thompson here in the room and 6 online between you, Mr. Chair, Mayor Dixon, Commissioner Elsner, Commissioner Stone, Commissioner Bremer, Mayor Graham, Mayor Wilson. Yeah, you've got 7. Councilmember Donaldson. Yes,
Yep.
You have a quorum.
Okay, outstanding. Well, I'll tell you what, if there's no objection, let's go ahead and proceed and call this meeting to order. This is our July 13 PPACG Board of Directors meeting. Thank you, Andy, for checking through the list that we've got here. We do have a quorum. I'll just ask, do we have any new people that can introduce themselves? I'll give it a moment to see if we have anybody state that.
Commissioner Williams here.
Super.
Hello, Commissioner.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me, Stan, but I can't hear you at all.
Oh, really?
I don't know if anyone else can.
Dave, I can hear
Yes,
you.
we can all, in the room, we can hear Dave and everybody else online.
I can hear everyone perfectly.
Yeah.
Dave, did you hear Andy?
I hear you now, so whatever happens, I can hear you now.
We'll attribute that to electronic gremlins. So, okay, great. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, just one quick introduction. Don Hunt with CDOT is online. In the event that Rich Zamora can't make it, I know Rich had a conflict and may be joining late and we may be done by then, but I think Don Hunt was going to give the CDOT update in the event that others haven't jumped on yet. So Don, do you just want to introduce yourself? If he's still there.
I think he's connecting his audio.
Okay. And thank you for your indulgence. As the chair was mentioning earlier, this is a super short agenda and didn't want to waste a lot of people's time driving 30 minutes or more for a 15 or 20-minute meeting. So we give you a chance to take a little bit of your summer back today.
Great. So, Mr. Hunt, can you hear us? I see your video is on. I don't know that he's hearing us.
Okay. I'll see if John L. can maybe connect with him and let him know that he's not fully connected yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Dan.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other introductions? I appreciate that, Andy, your attempt to introduce Mr. Hunt, but we'll get that fixed here in a moment.
Not introductions, but Mr. Chair, I would like to congratulate all those who were successful in their primaries. And I know we at least have maybe 1 or 2 of those in the room. So congratulations to them.
Thank you very much for those kind words. I know there's at least 2 and there may be others. Actually, I think there's 3 that I know of that are online here. And I'll echo those congratulations and thank you, Commissioner Stone, for that comment. That's very kind of you. I don't know if there's anybody here outside of El Paso County, but I know there's 3 here from El Paso County on the line that were successful in their primaries. So congratulations to them. Any other comments? All right. Let's go ahead and proceed with the agenda approval. Are there any questions or comments from any of the board members regarding the agenda?
Mr. Chair,
right.
I move to approve.
Say that again.
I move to approve the agenda.
Thank you very much. And there's our second. Thank you so much. I didn't hear any questions, so let's go ahead and proceed with the vote. All of those in favor with
Quick reminder, just make sure to state your name when making motions so that we can catch those. Thank you.
Thank you for that reminder. And all those in favor of the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And are there any opposed? All right, none opposed. The agenda is approved for today. Is there any member of the public that is online right now and would like to offer comments? And hearing none, I don't think we have any presentations under this item 3. Is that correct, Andy?
That's correct.
Okay, very good. Let's move on to item number 4. We have 4 consent items. Are there any questions or comments with regard to those 4 consent items? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Williams, I move to approve the consent items.
I'll second John Graham.
All right, outstanding. We have a motion and a second. One last opportunity if there's any comments or questions from any of the board members on the consent calendar. And hearing none, let's go ahead and proceed with the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And are there any opposed? Hearing none, the consent items pass unanimously. Let's move on to the military installation reports. I know we have at least one. And perhaps you could, Andy, you could look through the list here and get them introduced for us. Let's see, I think, is Paul Poppert one of those?
I don't know. I'm scrolling through the list right now.
He has a designation on
Oh,
there of Peterson
yes.
Space Force Base.
Note in the chat, Sandy, that Paul mentioned he'll be muted and not talking, just listening.
Great, thank you. Is there anybody else, Andy, that you can see?
I don't see any other military installations.
Okay. Seeing no others, let's go ahead and proceed to the 2 action items. This is section 6, and the first one is our fiscal year 23 to 2020. Oh, that's interesting. 2023 to a 2217 tip
There's a typo
amendment.
in that.
Oops.
Oops.
So what is it?
Yeah,
What is it supposed to be? 2023 to what?
2027.
Ah,
Okay.
it's the
Yeah.
extra one in
Thank
there. Okay.
So let's start with 6A, our 2023 to 2027 tip amendment number 1.
Good morning, Danelle Miller, Senior Transportation Planner for PPACG. We do have one tip amendment item today. There's a project addition requested by CDOT. This project is to add $300,000 in state FASTER funding for the initial design of an improvements project at Baptist Road and Terrazzo off I-25. And I believe Mr. Hunt is online. If there are any questions, I can also bring up an aerial of the area if you'd like to look at it. Are there any questions at this time?
Are there any questions? And just for myself, I'd love to see that aerial photo so we can have a visual of it. If you might bring that up, and then I'll ask if there are any questions from anybody.
This is Commissioner Williams, Mr. Chair. I can just say that this is an area where we have a new, if I'm right, Mayor Wilson, a new UPS facility. And I think that this also helps with trucks getting in and out of the Pilot Travel Center. So with that, if there's no questions, I would move approval of this item.
Don Wilson. Yes, there is a new UPS shipping facility there, and they're getting ready to break ground on a new Eagle distributing company there. So this is going to be a much needed change. And, you know, we've asked CDOT for help, and they're helping us at this time with the design of that, and would love to get this rolling. And I'll make a second.
Great, thank you. I appreciate it. And we do have a motion in a second. And since we do have the visual up, just for my benefit and maybe the benefit of the other members, where are we talking about here? Where is this to be done? Okay, I see
This
the,
intersection right here.
there we go. Thank you. All right, that is sufficient for my interests to just make sure I know where it is. Are there any
They
other
have
questions
two
or
roundabouts.
comments?
They have a roundabout. to
Just
the-
one question, if I may, Mr. Chairman. This is Eric Stone.
Oh,
Please go ahead.
so CDOT's helping out with the design on this. Is this also going to be a CDOT funded project when it comes to bear? Is there some developer or other participation in this, or obviously the increased congestion is coming from new developments? So just interested in finding out where all the funds are coming for on this, but outside of design.
Don Wilson, the developer has committed money to this. Even prior to CDOT, they could basically taken on the whole construction of a site, and CDOT said, hey, we would like to make some changes to the design. So the developer's was already invested prior to CDOT kind of putting their say in.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate those comments. Any other comments or questions from any of the board members?
Curiosity thing.
I heard some comments there, but I don't know if that was a private comment or for the board.
Well, since we had a brief interruption, yeah, just a question in the room. Is that going to be another traffic circle close to the one that's a little bit further to the west, or is that to be determined?
Most likely it's going to be a traffic circle. It's going to be a semi truck tractor type traffic circle.
Okay, cool.
So you have
I
two
guess that means it makes it a big
traffic
one.
circles, not roundabouts, huh? So
Yeah.
you'll have two traffic circles, not roundabouts?
Yeah,
I don't know if there's a difference.
Oh,
yeah, I think the terminology is interchangeable, but yeah, this is Richard Zamora with CDOT. Sorry for joining late, but yeah, the reason a roundabout works better here is because if the phase timing of the signals is just complicated with the proximity to the ramps there at I-25 and Baptist. And so, at some point you're gonna start either backing up traffic onto the ramps or, potentially to the north there as well. So that's why a roundabout helps actually with the actual capacity of the intersection.
Maybe John knows the answer to this, but I think there actually is a difference in the terminology, because this came up yesterday in a fire evacuation ordinance. I believe a roundabout has two lanes around it, so more can flow through it, and a traffic circle only has one lane. So does Mr. Leosatos know for sure on that?
I do not, and in the immortal words of Johnny Carson, that is wild, wacky stuff. I did not know that. So I learned something new today.
Well, and I don't go bet your house on it, but I think that could be, someone presented that to us, so that may be accurate.
I think despite maybe specifics, the big difference here is the traffic circle already in place is more or less residential, and the one they're putting it in is going to be for the larger, heavier flow of traffic.
all right.
Okay, well, great. Any other questions? I think maybe I might have learned something too, or at least we have to, maybe we can ask Andy just to let us know in a future board meeting if there is a nuanced difference between traffic circle and roundabout.
I thought people just hate roundabouts so much. We were just changing the terminology to traffic circle and kind of diffuse things for a while.
That might be it. Yeah, that might be all it is.
Yeah, very good. We will dig into
So
that.
John does have a chat note about the differences, and he mentioned something about stop signs. I didn't get to see it all, but there's something in the chat that you all can take a quick look at. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and proceed with a vote. But before I do that, are there any other questions or comments?
Confusing to navigate.
All right, hearing none, let's go ahead and proceed with the vote. We do have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And are there any opposed? Okay, there are none opposed. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the item 6B, the UPWP update and public comment period. And just for your awareness, Andy, I did get a note from one of our board members that they do need to step off in a couple more minutes. And I just want to make sure that we have a quorum if we lose one of our board members. If we've got, I think we need 7 to have a quorum. We might have 8 at this point, but
Mr. Chairman, do want to point out that Councilperson Avila just joined the meeting, so I think we're good.
Thank you. And good morning, Yolanda. How are you?
And with Nancy.
I saw your waves.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, please.
Oh, you're able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Yeah, I've been here for a little while and interesting discussion. No, I don't have anything further to say.
Okay, thank you. It's just a good morning then.
Yep. And Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, another quick interruption. Trustee Shannon Walker from the town of Rama has joined as well. Welcome, trustee.
That's allowed.
So we're good.
Great. So I think I can be confident in saying that we will continue to have a quorum if one of our board members has to drop off.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right, and I see that Dan Hunt is still there. I don't know if you wanted to introduce, we were asking if you could introduce yourself a few minutes ago. I don't know if you can speak at this point and got whatever technology worked out there.
Yeah, so apologize. My computer, I couldn't hear nothing, so I had to switch computers. So I'm Dan Hunt with CDOT. I'm stepping in for Shane Ferguson. And I believe Richard Zamora is going to join us a little bit late.
Actually, I think Richard is online right now.
Oh, okay. So he's here. So
Yeah,
okay.
I was about 10 minutes late, Dan. Thanks for joining.
Sure.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Hunt. I appreciate it. Now
Sure.
let's proceed to the second action item, item 6B, the UPWP update and public comment period.
Good morning again, Danelle Miller, Senior Transportation Planner. Today we have brought the Unified Planning Work Program to you. We are doing a mid-cycle update, and we have included an executive summary and the link to the draft document. What we're asking the board for today is permission to update or to release this for public review and public comments. And then following that public comment period, we will bring it back for adoption. Were there any comments or questions you have at this point regarding the UPWP or the planning work or projects that are included in that document?
Are there any comments or questions from any of the board members on item 6B? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
No.
And Mr. Donaldson, I heard you say no. Was that a no to no comments or a no that you won't enter a motion? Sorry, just thought I would do that.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the fiscal year 22-23 UPWP update for public release and comment period.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We had a couple of seconds, but perhaps we'll give this one to Mr. Graham.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll second John Graham.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Last opportunity for any comments or questions. For myself, I'm glad that we will have a public comment period on this. Be interested in seeing if we do get any comments. All right, hearing none, let's go ahead and proceed with the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And are there any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously as well. Let's move on to item number 7. And I think I did see some more notes going into the chat regarding the definitional difference between traffic circle and roundabout. So maybe you might want to take the opportunity to check that out. Let's move into item number 7. Item 7A through 7G are for information only. And I think we are at item 7H, or CDOT monthly update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not a lot of updates for you this month. Just to make everybody aware, the Transportation Commission will be meeting next week. One thing they are going to be considering at their meeting next week are some emergency rule updates for the greenhouse gas rules, based upon some comments and issues they've seen in terms of discussion, I think with North Front Range and Dr. Cog as well going forward. So as promised, as things come up, we're being as flexible as we can and trying to make things work appropriately. So I don't have a lot of specifics on what those updates are in front of me right now, but feel free to tune into the workshops and participate in the meeting if you would like to be part of that. Another item that's going to be discussed is we're moving towards adoption of the updated 10-year plan with the commission starting this month. So a draft will be presented this month. The modeling will be finalized hopefully between this month and the next commission meeting. And we're anticipating final adoption of the updated 10-year plan at the September meeting of this year. So those are really the big things from a statewide perspective. I'm going to turn it over to Dan Hunt to talk about project updates in the Pikes Peak region. So Dan.
Oh, thank you. I'll give a brief status on some of the projects in the area. So we'll start with research and powers. So the southbound alignment is open, so it's in its ultimate configuration, and it's over the bridge. And also the southbound on and off ramps are open. Northbound will be open in early August in its final configuration, and along with the ramps too. I think maybe the ramps are open for northbound already, but I'm not sure if they're in their final configuration. Research will be opened. They're shooting for the end of August to get research back to its final alignment, and there still will be some work that needs to be done. The ramp metering project that's within Colorado Springs, that really just started. So they're starting to get a lot of the ITS equipment bought. There's a longer lead time than was anticipated to purchase those. State Highway 115, we just had the pre-construction meeting yesterday, and they're looking at starting the project probably the week of July 25th. And that's if the contractor has everything in order. There are certain steps he has to follow, and we're working on getting that. So, and we'll just move to the Mansip project real quick. The I-25, by the end of, I think by the end or early August or end of July, we're going to put the remaining southbound onto the I-25 side. So southbound will be all the way from Academy all the way to the Fountain Interchange. They'll be kind of head to head there on that northbound side. We'll probably see some concrete or white topping concrete paving starting August 1st, starting at South Academy and moving south. So that'll start probably August 1st. There's a lot of embankment work going on right now and a lot of drainage work. Colorado 94, that's the intersection improvements at 94 and Blaney. We have started that project. We're starting to do the embankment for the jug handle. So there's quite a bit of fill that needs to go in there, so it's going to take some time. And their goal is to complete that project this year still. Charter Oak, that's the roadway that goes into gate 19 off the Fountain Interchange into Fort Carson. There's a lot of that work is pretty close to being done, and they will get that done this week. So they will finish that this year. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. I do have one question myself. I see also Dick Elsner has his hand raised.
Yes.
So, Mr. Elsner, if you'd like to proceed.
Yeah, a couple of things. I want to know the status of the bridge on 285.
Oh,
I
okay.
know you supposedly have shut down the road there. Also, what does the timing look like on the chain up stations, the one on 285 by Webster at the north end of Kenosha Pass, excuse me, brain cramp there. And then also you've got a bridge replacement that's going in on 24 just outside of Hartselle. That came out, it's August and September supposedly. The issue I have with that is, are you working with the county? Because you say you're going to have a complete closure of Highway 24, which is going to put them off on 3.3 miles of county road, some of which is chip seal, which is not extremely stable. It's not too bad. And part of it is dirt. So if you're going to send all of the traffic that's on 24 off on one of our dirt roads and one of our chip sealed roads, I've got a feeling it's going to have an impact on the county. And you really, really need to get a hold of Daryl Evig, road and bridge guy, to make sure that he is ready for it, because you're going to be creating, I think, a lot of dust or mud based on how much rain we've been getting. So, I would like more information on how you're going to coordinate with the county when you use Highway 24 traffic out onto county roads, which in Park County means usually not too good a shape. Thank you.
Dan, let me jump in on the 24 issue. Commissioner Elsner, I'm gonna have to dig into that a little bit for you. So is there a chance you can email me the contact information for Daryl Evig? So we can make sure that something happens and I can get back to you on it. And I'll catch up with you offline.
Yeah, I will do that.
Okay.
And I know, hey, Rich, I know we've been, Scott and Dalton reached out to us on when we were going to close 285. So there's some coordination going on there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to reach out with the project team, because that's part of a larger multi-bridge replacement project, Commissioner Elsner. So I need to dig in and get some more specifics on that very specific single bridge, because there's about 13 other bridges that we're replacing underneath that project throughout.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at a map, it looks like, oh, well, this is a really easy 6.5 minute detour, except for the fact that you put a lot of heavy traffic on one of our dirt roads, and it's not going to be 6.5 minutes, because you're going to probably be replacing axles on things. It is not a great road.
Okay, as I said, I'll talk with the project team and get more information about what coordination they have or have not done, and then try to make sure we do something to plan ahead and make sure that we're not creating bigger issues.
So I can update you on the 285 bridge replacement over the South Fork Platte River. As you know, we did close the road yesterday, and so that closure will be until sometime in October. And actually we were scheduled to dry pile today. So we're really getting on top of that bridge, and hopefully we're trying to minimize that closure as much as possible. So that's the kind of the progress on that. And the chain up station, they had a pre-construction meeting yesterday. And I'm not exactly sure the schedule on that, but the same contractor that's doing the 285 bridge is going to do the chain up stations at Zach Dirt. So,
and I can weigh in a little bit on that. As part of the project specifications, Commissioner Elsner, for the chain up stations, the one that was prioritized to try to get done this construction season is the Kenosha Pass one. So there's actually incentives for them to get in there and get that done faster, so we can take advantage of it this next winter. And if something has to flip, it will be the Highway 9 chain up station that may finish later. So that's how we structured the contract for that particular project. Does that answer your question?
That answers my question.
Okay.
Great. And Commissioner Elsner, was there any of those projects you mentioned that hasn't been addressed yet, or are we good to go?
No, we're good to go. The biggest one, I wanted a status on the 285, which is great. The one that worries me is closing 24 down and sending traffic on a detour that is not a state highway. And I worry a little bit about sending large trucks over our county roads.
Right. Great. Well, thank you. It sounds like the CDOT team's going to connect with your team, and hopefully there'll be good answers on those questions. So, and I see also Commissioner Stone has his hand raised. What are your questions?
Yeah, not a question, but CDOT, you don't always get thank yous and great job, but on short notice, you guys redirected some dollars onto Highway 24 in that area for the delayed project. And based upon the complaints from people about construction impacts, it's been a wild success. But anyway, do appreciate you guys getting on it early in the tourist season. I know there's a tiny little bit left, but appreciate you getting out. Actually, you did more than I thought or even anticipated that you would do. I was kind of expecting just to see some pothole crews out there, but you actually went in and put some new seal over a lot of sections to make it safer for folks this summer. So appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Outstanding. Well, thank you, Commissioner Stone. Are there any other questions? And I have one also, but I'm reserving it, Kate, for anybody else. And seeing no others, I know we have our 115 project going on, and thanks to CDOT for that and all the other projects. Really, there's quite a lot, which is fantastic. But there is a groundbreaking on the 115, and I'm just trying to refresh my memory on what that date is. And I know it's been a little complicated trying to get everybody to be at that groundbreaking. So what's the latest and greatest on the date for that?
I know we had a tentative date for August 2nd. And according to our PI manager, I think there was some conflict with some other schedules, I think, and I'm not sure who those were. So I think she's still trying to work that out.
Okay, yeah, August 2nd is a Tuesday, and that's our El Paso County Board of County Commissioners Day, and usually those days are fairly full. So
okay.
I don't know what the original time was, but I think it was in the morning, like maybe 9 o'clock, and that's exactly when our meeting starts.
Okay. I think she's probably trying to change that then, probably.
Yeah, Commissioner Vanderwerf, she got your information and she's trying to juggle calendars basically, because I've told her that you have a definite keen interest in being there for that particular groundbreaking, but she's also trying to coordinate your calendar with Executive Director Lou's calendar, and trying to find something that works for everybody. So
okay, well, I appreciate your willingness to work hard to try and find a date that'll work for all. I mean, if in the end it's not possible, and it's not possible, and we need to proceed, but I appreciate your giving it a good try to find the right date for everybody.
Sure thing.
Okay, great. Any other questions or comments for CDOT in their monthly update here? All right, hearing none, let's move on to this stack update.
All right, there's my mic, Commissioner Williams. So at STAC, we had a presentation. I'm going to kind of go backwards. The electric vehicle plan, which is to have us into 940,000 electric vehicles by 2030. And a lot of excitement on the part of the person presenting this about how we're going to have a whole bunch of electric vehicle charging stations. It was interesting because 285 was included, a lot, Highway 36, Highway 34, but there were two roads specifically missing, Highway 24, and then one in Weld County. And there was a lot of doubt as to whether or not they showed specifically, Commissioner Elsner pointed out the DC fast chargers in Fairplay, Colorado. And there was a lot of doubt that this was really going to be what the consumer wanted, because every rural county said there's 5 gas stations and 2 electric vehicle charging stations. Gas stations are always full on the weekends. The charging stations are not. There was some discussion about how they were going to change the 10-year plan and to meet greenhouse gas regulations. And then there was a good discussion on I-270 and the need to replace a lot of bridges there and doing some updates on that. And so that was a very good discussion. We will have some minutes coming out. Any comments that you might have, Commissioner Elsner or John, because you were both there?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's go ahead and start with Commissioner Elsner, and then I see Mr. Donaldson, you have your hand raised as well. So we'll have you follow up behind Commissioner Elsner.
I thought the greenhouse gas one was interesting, but and in electric vehicles, but not at all practical. The way they presented it, what I found interesting in their graph, if you have an electric vehicle and you don't have a charger set up at your house, you're just plugging it into the wall, for every hour that it's charging, you get to go 2 to 5 miles, depending upon the efficiency of the vehicle. So you look at it when you get into rural Colorado, okay, how do you plug anything? You've got to plug it into an outlet because you get into the rural areas, you don't have the power available. You just don't have the 220 available in some of the houses. And the capacity. And then if you spend all of your money and buy one of those really nifty fast chargers, if you charge it overnight, you might be able to go about 60 miles to 100 miles the next day, which of course, if you're in Fairplay, will get you to Colorado Springs and maybe back to Woodland Park if you want to go home. So everything that they're talking about to me is just totally impractical. I'm not too sure what to think about it, of course, because from Fairplay to Colorado Springs is Highway 24, which isn't on their list of places they want to put charging stations. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And Mr. Donaldson.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Vanderwerf. As the first alternate to Stack now, that was the first meeting I attended or virtually attended, and I got to say I was encouraged by the common sense questions that were being asked by, I think it was primarily different commissioners, including our own Commissioner Williams. So the presenter from the governor's offices, I think she got a dose of reality there on just very common sense, practical questions, including effects of extremely cold temperatures on how long one of these cars would last in piled up traffic on I-70 or somewhere else. So I would just want to say good job. And it was encouraging for me at the first one to see just a dose of reality being administered to the presenter. Thanks.
And
Yeah,
it was
go ahead.
interesting. It was kind of if you build it, don't worry, they will come. So they're going to build it. And in all honesty, I can't see the average citizen being able to, really, who wants to sit at 2 hours at a charging station? And so the middle-class citizen, yes, might go to an electric vehicle, but what about the lower class citizens?
Yeah, well, Commissioner, I think we need to suggest they use some of this money that they're going to be building these charging stations and also put in some movie theaters right next to them also, so they have something to do while their car is charging.
There you go. It's an excellent suggestion.
Sarcasm font is now off.
Yeah, thank you. I'll also mention that I remain concerned about this. It doesn't, to others' comments, it sounds impractical to me as well. I don't have an enormous amount of experience with electric vehicles, but I have had the opportunity to drive a hybrid Chevy Volt several times, and one of those times fully charged in Vail, drove it to the top of Vail Pass to come home. And because of the altitude gain on the pass, I completely used the battery just to get to the top of Vail Pass. And I would have been stranded if it were not for the fact that it was a hybrid vehicle and also had a gas-powered motor in it. So also all these passes in rural areas are huge consumers of the electric charge in an electric vehicle for the altitude gain. So that's another component of what makes this not that practical in some of these mountain areas. So I think, I guess I remain a little confused why there's so much push for all of this when it doesn't have a very practical approach. And, I mean, at some point down the road, the technology is going to get us to a place where these vehicles can be used well in these rural, long distance, mountain pass kinds of regions. But until that technology arrives, I don't know why we're pushing this. So I don't know if there's something we need to do to, as a PPACG, to encourage the state to be a little more thoughtful about the practicality of this. I'll just open up the floor if anybody has those kinds of comments.
This is Commissioner Williams. I will tell you, by the end of the discussion, I was determined for the rest of my life to buy a gas guzzler car.
That must have been one fantastic discussion.
Yes, so.
So any other comments? Go ahead. Mr. Dixon, I think you were, now we can't hear you, we're sorry.
Technology is just not there.
So Todd, we only heard the last couple words and we're not able to actually hear the content of what you were trying to say.
I'll put it in the chat. Sometimes my internet goes unstable.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? I'll just finish on this particular point then. Andy, I'm going to give you a call and see if, let's have a conversation about, this. I don't know that this push to electric vehicles is the right state approach, in particular for rural areas. Maybe not an issue when you're talking about trying to commute to and from work in an urban area, but in these rural areas, I just don't see the practicality of it. And I'm personally experienced the lack of practicality of it. So Andy, I'll give you a call later and let's see if there's something that we can, do as a board, and we'll bring it back to the board and see if the board has an interest in doing something about that.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if I could say one more thing too. I think all of Senate Bill 260, the 5 different enterprise fees, most of them have been delayed due to the economy until I think next year. But the delivery fee, I know the Chamber of Commerce mentioned to us yesterday, the delivery fee has rolled out, which is a permanent fee. And a lot of the restaurants, the businesses are very, very confused about it. So it was rolled out and not a lot of education on the Department of Revenue of how it works. And so if you get a chance in your own communities to, meet with your restaurants and talk to them, it's a permanent fee. So they need to know that. And I think the amount was 23 cents or something I heard on the news, but a lot of the businesses are very confused about it.
27.
Yeah, 27.
27 cents. And I mean, part of the confusion I have about it is, to me, it's a tax. And I don't know how it was able to avoid a ballot measure with the voters. So my sense of it is, I think it's going to end up in a lawsuit and get challenged. So just for whatever that's worth. Any other comments or questions?
Oh, what was the chat?
All right. Yeah, there was some more chat information provided. Please take a chance to take a look at that. And let's move on to item 7J, the ED's report, the Executive Director's report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of items, continuing kind of on the same theme around greenhouse gas emissions. We do have our workshop date set, and hopefully you've got a calendar invite for this, but it's going to be Thursday, August the 4th from 2 to 4 p.m. in our conference room here at PPACG, but also with the Zoom remote option. So John and Will Mast, our modeling and GIS lead, have been pulling that together. So look forward to seeing you on Thursday, August the 4th, that afternoon. Shifting gears, went to a pretty good summit this past Monday, infrastructure summit that was sponsored by the state, by OED and DOLA, and with other representatives from other departments as well, up in Glenwood Springs, but they also had a Zoom option. I know a lot of people zoomed in for that. It was an all-day summit one Monday. But just want to express our the gratitude to OED, especially. They're going to be pushing money out to all the COGs across Colorado for us to be able to hire a grant navigator, a grant coordinator, to work, especially with our smaller communities that don't have that kind of capacity to identify grant opportunities under the federal infrastructure bill that was passed. So we don't have an agreement in place yet, but hoping to get this nailed down soon in the coming weeks. So we know when the money's going to flow from OED, so we can start the hiring process to get somebody on board. But they really do want us to be able to help our smaller communities to go after transportation grants, water, wastewater grants, broadband, and things of that nature. So more to come on that, but a lot of moving parts, but a lot of opportunities over the next 5 years. Shifting gears again, I'm going to introduce Carol McBroom. Carol, I believe, is on the call. She's our new finance manager. You'll meet Carol in person. Hi, Carol. You'll see a lot of her here in the coming months as we get into our budget process, starting August, September, in that time frame. But just wanted you to meet Carol. And then finally, our next meeting is Wednesday, August the 10th, and we're still trying to nail down logistics. As I mentioned before, the chairman and we'd like to be able to convene a remote meeting, one in Park County and one in Teller County, by the end of the year, and preferably sooner rather than later before weather starts to hit. So we're still having discussions with folks in Park County. Commissioner Elsner, Tom Eisman's been super helpful, but I know our regular board meetings conflict with your regular planning commission meetings in Park County. So that's a little bit of a conflict. So we're trying to see if we can make some adjustments there for either the August or the September meeting. So the chair and I and whoever else can join us, and we'll arrange for some transportation options. Whoever could join us and say fair play for a meeting, but we'll also have the option to attend in our conference room or remotely elsewhere if you need to. And then also in Teller County as well. We don't know exactly where in Teller, if it's going to be Woodland Park or Cripple Creek yet. Still trying to figure out the logistics there, which have been a little bit challenging as well. So we could appreciate some help, but we could use your help, I think, in helping us kind of nailing down some locations and options. So we will be in touch with Commissioner Stone and Commissioner Elsner. And
Yeah,
that's all.
Andy, it'll likely be in Divide.
Okay.
At the new sheriff's office, we have a really large high-tech training room that can hold about 100 people. So it'll be in there.
Good, super, appreciate that. We will be in touch with folks there.
Did Yolanda get recognized with her hand up?
Yes, I'll recognize Yolanda in just a moment. I was waiting for Andy to finish. And Andy, I don't know if you had any further comments on the executive director's report.
That's all I've got for now, pending any questions you might have.
Okay, great. Councilwoman Avila, you have your hand up.
I do. Chair, I was just wondering if the items on the chat could be read. I'm at a disadvantage because I have no idea what the chat, like you're saying, you could just read it. And I'm like, no, not able to. So I'd appreciate that accommodation, and that if people are sending chats that they actually say it out loud, whatever they're chatting about, or that someone read it. I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
If you don't mind, let me go ahead. If the board will indulge me for Yolanda, let me go ahead and read what is in the chat right now. Paul Popert, and this was earlier, I will be muted and not talking and listening. Then John Leo Santos, looks like Rich from CDOT is on now. That was also a previous comment. Rich is on now. And he also says roundabouts are different from traffic circles, and that traffic circles can involve stop signs, stop signals, or no control at all. Traffic circles can be very large, operate at higher speeds, and sometimes can be confusing to navigate, often requiring motorists to move from one lane to another. Then Mr. Poppert also put a link in and the link talks about the difference between a traffic circle and a roundabout. And then Todd Dixon said this was regard to the electric batteries. I was with the FAA when the lithium ion battery mess was going on with aircraft. The charging, discharging, and manufacturing must be tightly controlled. Otherwise, things called dendrites can form. And once once they form, you get the potential for fires. So those are all the comments that I can see, Councilwoman Avila, and hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, that's helpful. It'd just be nice as we're going along that.
No, it's an excellent point.
include,
Thank you for that.
It'd be more inclusive. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I think Commissioner Stone, your hand is up as well.
No, I owe you a donut next time I see you.
All right. Very good. All right. Thank you for the update. Andy, I appreciate that. Any last comments or questions to Andy regarding the executive director's report? All right. Hearing none, we're actually at the closing of the meeting here. Are there any member entity announcements? Any announcements that anybody would like to make about something going on in their community or something related to a CDOT, to a PPACG activity?
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes, please.
Eric Stone, Teller County. Just want to invite everybody to come up to Victor Gold Rush Days this weekend. If you haven't been to it is a step back in time, and there's a lot of activities going on there, including some turn of the century, not this century, but the previous century, baseball games and other things that'll be going on to transport you back into the past. So everyone should come up for Victor Gold Rush Days. It'll be a good.
That sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. Any other comments or questions?
Yes,
I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
This is Nancy Henjum. Thank you. And also thank you for reading the chats. I've not also been able to look at the screen, so I appreciate you reading those. I just want to let people know that tomorrow the inaugural initial opioid settlement task force is meeting there in your hall, Stan. And I'm actually looking forward to learning about how we're going to proceed with determining for the next, I think it's 22 years, we will go about determining the best way to use those funds to serve our communities.
Great. You know, I
Thank you.
appreciate you bringing that up. That meeting is taking place tomorrow. It is the first meeting of this newly formed board, and I appreciate the participation on several levels with the region that was formed regarding the opioid funds coming from the lawsuit. Teller County and El Paso County are teamed up together on that. Park County, I believe you are with another team. For Teller and El Paso, we have municipalities, we have law enforcement, we have commissioners, county commissioners, and we've got, I think, a great representation that's going to be very beneficial for Teller and El Paso to help use those funds to the greatest benefit for our communities to deal with the opioid crisis and opioid addiction. And one word that I think is important on that is those funds will be coming for several years, but eventually the funding will stop. And I think it is a charge of this new board to find ways to with that funding to produce a permanent environment of some type that allows us to deal with opioid addictions in the long term. In other words, to make it a sustainable process. So I am hopeful the board will find those pathways to do that and to help citizens. And thank you, Nancy, for bringing that up. Are there other comments or questions?
Just a question, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
For this meeting, and I don't know if anybody knows on this, and I saw that it's set to be on these a specific Thursday of the month. Teller County commissioners have board meetings that are scheduled on second and fourth Thursdays throughout the year, and there is going to be an existing conflict every time this board meets. And for anybody who knows or was in the formation of this board, is there going to be any opportunity to move the time of this meeting? If we were to move it off until the afternoon, that would probably work, but it's a major conflict for us here in Teller when it's held. I believe it's the second Thursday of the month is what they're stating.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. I didn't know that there was a conflict, and I think that should be maybe in tomorrow's meeting, one of the very first things that they take up. And I don't
Yeah.
know if the
I will
teller.
be there and I'll skip I'll be there. I'll skip our Board of County Commissioners meeting or hearing, but for this one, but obviously I can't miss half of the BOCC meetings in order to do this. So something's going to have to happen. I will bring it up first thing.
Yeah, that's great. I'm hopeful that that newly formed board, you being a member of that, will find a different time and date that will work for everybody. Because yeah, that isn't, my humble opinion, it's not really fair to the teller commissioners if it's going to be held on the exact same time that you have your BOCC meetings. So I'm hopeful that they'll find a good date for you guys. Any other comments or questions? I just have one update for myself for El Paso County. Just don't forget, we have the El Paso County Fair starting on July 16 and going through July 23. You can look this up on the internet and look at the different events that are taking place. There are some days that are free, depending on who you are, veteran or what have you. And also there's some really a lot of fun events, a lot of 4-H events. And there is a junior livestock show and sale. Those are a lot of fun. And on the very last day, the 23rd, in the evening, starting at 6 p.m., is one of the very popular demolition. That's the very popular demolition derby. So there's a lot of fun events that go on in that fair. And I'd ask you to check it out. We have a huge number of people that come, and it's a lot of fun. And it is out in Calhan, out on the eastern prairie of El Paso County. So thank you. And I see Mr. Elsner, your hand is up.
Yes, I wanted to mention that Park County has their fair also this coming weekend. Livestock auction is Saturday. We've got 3 or 4 rodeos this year. It's been growing quite a lot over the last few years. So if you want to come up to Fair Play where it's cool and not as dusty and hot and gee, all of that stuff that you get when you're out on the plains, if you want to really enjoy the mountains, come up to Fair Play for our fair. And then the last weekend of July is Burro Days, which if you know anything about it, it's we have a big burro race. It's almost, I think, a marathon distance. We commonly refer to it as get your ass up the pass. So I'd like to invite everybody to Burro Days. It's probably one of the biggest events in the mid-mountain area that doesn't have to do with a large resort. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. One of these days, I've got to go up and see the burro days. That just sounds like a ton of fun.
It always is a lot of fun. I don't know if we're having the outhouse race this year, but in years past, we have had outhouse races where people build an outhouse, put wheels on it, and then run down Main Street.
That's awesome. And I know Mayor Graham, down in Manitou Springs, you have all kinds of interesting events, coffin races and everything else. So I don't know if you've got one coming up here soon.
I think the coffin race is, we're looking forward to pulling it off here at the end of October. There's still a little bit of concern about COVID, but I think we're going to be able to do that. Actually, August 1st, this coming August 1st, we'll have our Day of Friendship. We're going to do some celebrations of Manitou's birthday. We're going to be 150 years old this year. And we're going to have a pie baking, pie eating contest. This will be at Soda Springs Park. So everybody's invited to that. You can come and get a slice of pie and ice cream to go with that. We'll have various lawn games. There'll be a lot of activities for kids. So it should be a fun day. We're looking forward to that. And I will make a plug here for October. We'll be celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day. We expect to have a number of Ute tribal dignitaries here to celebrate the day and sort of reintroduce the Ute culture to Manitou Springs. So thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Any other comments from any of the members? All right, hearing none. I think Andy mentioned when our next meeting will be next month, but it's always at the same time. And appreciate everybody's participation. One last opportunity, if there's any other updates or comments anybody would like to make before I adjourn.
Hey, sir, just real quick. This is Chuck Arnold from Peterson Space Force Base, Space Base Delta. We just want to apologize. Technical difficulties on base. No access. I joined late. Don't have much of a military report for the base other than on Monday, we had our change of command. So we have a brand new Space Base Delta One commander out here at Peterson who provides oversight for Peterson, Schriever, and Cheyenne Mountain. It's Colonel Dave Hansen, who has been in the command multiple times in the past. Was the group commander up at Thule, Greenland in the Arctic Circle, and a squadron commander at New Boston Space Force Station. And we look forward to getting Colonel Hansen out to events to meet all of you. And that's all I have. And again, I apologize for being very, very late.
Oh, no worries. Thank you, Mr. Arnold, for your update. I look forward to meeting Colonel Hansen here sometime soon. And also, one last note for me, I think we can be very proud of the fact that the National Association of Counties National Convention is being held in Colorado this year. For those of us that are commissioners, we would be well aware of it. And that will be July 21st through July 24th this month at the Gaylord Rockies Resort, which is one of the resorts not too far from the Denver International Airport. Up in Aurora. So just an awareness to be, I just think it's great that we're hosting the National Convention for Counties here in Colorado this year. All right, one last shot for any other comments. All right, hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for a great meeting. We appreciate your time, and we got a lot accomplished, and we're able to do it online and save a lot of people's time, and we'll reserve that back to you. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.